Bonjour, friends. How's it going, guys? Hopefully, you're having a super fun, awesome day. We're going to be checking out French versus American culture. U.S. expats reveal the difference. So it looks like maybe interview style, like just kind of skipping through. There's different people. Well, she's talking a lot, but like there's this girl. Yeah, so it's just interviews. Haven't watched it yet. Thanks for watching with me. Like and subscribe, do all that stuff. Links down below for the original video by the channel The Movement Hub. So shout out to them. Let's check this out. Shout out to you too. Thanks for watching. You guys are amazing.
I feel like American mentality is very much
like you say, hi, how's it going? And you really don't even mean it. You don't even care about but you just say it automatically.
as
That is true. It's just an automatic thing when if you're ever walking somewhere or you're in a building, you're walking and somebody goes by, hey, how's it going? It's just an automated response. It doesn't really mean like how's it going? Like don't stop and tell me how your day's going. You usually the person's like, not bad, how about you, or whatever, and then you just go on about your day. It's kind of strange, I guess, when you think about it, but I'm just so used to doing it.
An American, we say yes and mean no, and it's
Eh,
the exact opposite here.
America is
because people are just not forward. Say what's on your mind, really. Be direct like the Dutch.
a red hot consumer culture. And there's a
Yeah.
lack, perhaps lacking culture, lacking a degree of sophistication in the States.
and then people are like, oh my god, like that's crazy. Just like as where I feel like, people here would have more to say on the matter, and it'd go a bit deeper.
That is true. A lot of times the responses will
If you
just be like,
compare,
oh, wow, that's crazy, and not really go in depth on it. And you probably see that on the times that I do reply to your comments. It'll be like, oh, cool, great, thanks, or oh, wow, that's crazy. Very short responses. I get a lot of comments, though, a lot of replies. I got a few different channels, and people comment a lot on across the three. It's hard to keep up with them all, but I try to skim through and read them. I try.
American culture from San Diego, but French culture here, what kind of differences in mentality do you see?
I feel like American mentality is very much like being productive, making money, like keeping up with the Joneses, like, oh, he has a new car, I've got a new car, because, in California it is very much like that. I have lived in
Yeah.
other states that weren't really like that, but
I've never lived in California, never been there. I live in northern Indiana, the state of Indiana. And it's not so much like that. I mean, it's dependent on the person. It's not as widespread as California, though.
for example, if I went to go like drink wine on a terrace here and read a book, like in France, that's productive. Like you did something today, that's great. But in the US, people would be like, oh, like great, like you didn't make money. You know what I mean? Like it's not looked at the same way.
As an American, we say yes and mean no,
I don't
and it's the
understand.
exact opposite here. They say no first, but they don't necessarily mean no. Like even at the government office, if they say no, it's not necessarily a no. It's very implicit here, very
You got to haggle a yes out of a person or what?
implicit. And coming from a culture that's explicit, that took years to figure out and a lot of bruised ego.
Okay, okay.
And they will tell you directly to your face what they think, even if in a criticism.
Okay, so the Dutch directness isn't just Dutch. Like the French people are pretty direct too, because I know the Dutch people are direct. I've learned that from my main channel. Sounds like the French people are also direct.
Which I've come to love.
If you compare US American culture in New York with French culture here in Paris, what differences in mentality do you see?
They're quite different, I think. And I think America is a red hot consumer culture, which is
Capitalism.
crazy. A lot of
Yeah.
America lose on credit because buying Christmas presents, things, it's kind of intense. Whereas
Sucks.
European
Actually.
generally, it's a little bit more subtle, but you have definite non-consumerism, which drives love. And there's almost like a rejection. I'd say France, especially in Paris, and a lot of France, it's more of the people, and there's a kind of rejection of wealth, a rejection of that consumer being sold to. At the same time, I mean, they'll buy. They love to buy. They love to buy into things. They're quite easy to market to, but if you ask them and you tug at their national identity, it's definitely a frustration and a bit of an anger. Which, I mean, if you have a very nice car, for example, in Paris, like golden rule, never park it on the street. It'll be keys and just damaged or messed with, Yeah. So yeah, definitely, I'd say that relationship to money is and commercialism is a big distinction.
I feel like
So is it like people in France are like mad at you if you're rich? I guess. I mean, maybe it's just like you look arrogant or something. I don't know.
if we're in the realm of like romance and sexual things and stuff like that, I feel like Americans are more like, oh, monogamy, like if I'm cheating, I'm hiding it. Very
I
kind
don't
of like
cheat.
narrow
I don't like cheating.
minded on that. As where the French are very like open relationships, like
Here, they're not very warm. They're not very.
I mean, to each their own. If that's what you're into, if you want to be in an open relationship, then hey, by all power, do your thing. You know what I mean? But I'm not, and the cheating thing I don't like. But yeah, I'm not. I'm not in an open relationship. I'm in a monogamous. Like I kind of like. I don't want nobody messing with my girl. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Very welcoming. Once you get to know people, once you get in, like you have to have something common, like a shared experience. Then they're more willing to talk to you and they're more interested in you.
Okay.
Whereas in the US, people are very superficial. Like you say,
Very,
hi, how's it
very.
going? And you really don't even mean it. You don't even
Nope.
care about but you just say it automatically. And the person will be like, yeah, it's going well, but like, you just say it like a robot. You don't, a lot
Robot.
of times you actually don't mean it. But that's the way, at least in the US, it's very superficial. Latin America, because I do have Latin American troops coming up from Miami, that's a whole different story. It's, Miami, people in Miami are very loud. They're in your face. They like if you're a new person, they want to hug you and they want to ask you. They're very nosy. They're very nosy. Sometimes it's a little too much. Very loud. French
Latin America in general, Latin Americans can be very, very loud. Yeah,
people here, for
more
example,
than
if you're on
Americans, regular
Metro
Americans,
or something, like
or like North Americans, or whatever you want to call it, right?
they're very quiet. They're very to themselves, especially during winter. I think winter plays a lot part of it. Whereas a Latino, I mean, if this were in Latin America, you'd probably be hearing like music or reggaeton or something like. They're more, they're more in your face. So me, I that was one of the differences I like had to encounter here. I'm not used to it. I'm not used to it at all. But you get used to it.
And the closeness, I can get into the closeness. Yeah, the distance is definitely shocking here.
They're more close, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the tables right next to each other at a cafe. Absolutely. But the French, they don't talk very loudly. It works.
I will say I think France is a bit more
Okay, so French people are quiet. Okay, they're quiet and they're cuddly. Like they get up close and personal. It sounds like.
deeper. They like to talk like philosophy. They talk about politics. They talk about stuff like that. And they always say they really like to debate. So I think that's really interesting because
And riot. You French people love to riot.
what I found when I lived in California, I'd be like, oh, I would say something like, oh, there was like a natural disaster in Africa. I don't know, and then people are like, oh my God, like that's crazy. Just like, as where I feel like, people here would have more to say on the matter, and it'd go a bit deeper. So yeah, I feel like it might be a little bit more surface level there.
That makes
Did you also
sense.
see any difference in the way people interact with each other on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think there's a big. I think that well, and this is not to criticize either one, but this is just. I'd say that there's a degree of born almost like a superficiality in exchanges in America, whereas here I find it tends to be more reserved and it's a bit more intense and a bit deeper. And I know people that have lived here for many years have gone to the States and they've come back because they found it a bit harder to get deep with people and there's a lack, perhaps lacking in culture, lacking in a degree of sophistication in the States. Topics tend to go a little bit deeper. If you watch TV, for example, you watch the situation, the debate shows, the way they talk about things, they tend to go, it's a lot of very, very, a bit more intellectual and a bit more thing, whereas the States is a little bit more entertainment driven, and which, degrees of entertainment are woven into the fabric. Whereas intellectualism here tends to be woven into the fabric more.
I will say, I feel like Americans are
That makes sense because everything here is like an entertainment. Like even the news is just it's like almost like watching a comedy show anymore. Yeah.
not open, but I think like if you look a bit different, they don't really mind as much as maybe here. Here, I feel like it's a bit more structured. Like you should look this way, you should eat that, etc., etc. Where in the U.S. it's more open. Like another thing, I came here to do like nan.
And I think that's too because in France, you have the French culture, so everything is developed the French kind of way and has been for hundreds of years. Whereas in the United States, it's not one. I mean, yeah, sure, there's the American culture that's sort of developed over the years, but with it being such a melting pot and everything, there's not like really one necessary like one strict way to do things. Whereas in France, it's more like that.
Nannying and stuff, and I realized like the kids were really on strict schedules and they almost all did the same hobbies. As where I feel like in the US it might be a more free. Like here everyone does judo, like all the kids.
Huh.
Um, and there's reasons for that. I guess like one of the best judo fighters is French, so that makes sense. But just kind of things like that. Like I feel like that's a thing that every kid has done here is judo.
Interesting.
Um, Another thing, eating culture. Let's talk about it. The U.S. versus France.
Food talk, guys. Let's talk some food. Let's do it.
In France, I find that it's very structured as well with the eating. There's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then dessert after lunch and dinner. You know what I mean? There's not really a huge snacking community as we're in.
I eat whenever I'm hungry. That's pretty much it. Like I make sure my son has, breakfast, he has lunch, he has dinner, everything is proper and everything. Myself, most of the time I don't eat breakfast. I just wait until I get hungry. Sometimes I'll eat a meal, sometimes I'll just kind of snack around, and then I'll usually wait until dinner to really really eat. And then I'll snack the rest of the day, maybe have a plate of food later in the night. I don't know. My eating schedule is weird, guys.
In the States, like that's life is all about snacking, like going to the gas station and all that. But here it's very strict. Like you eat at this time, this time, this time, and I think it's very good for like it's a cool cultural aspect of France that I really enjoy.
But it's not natural. Every animal eats when they're hungry. They don't eat on a schedule. You know what I mean? Your body in general just, you just eat when you're hungry. It's better on your metabolism and everything.
The cliche, which is joie
But I get the cultural aspect, because then it becomes a community thing, meal times.
de vivre, which is very Emily in Paris.
I don't
I'm
know what that
well
means.
aware because the French do work a lot, especially in North America. That we have this image of France, the short work weeks, etc., and the long vacations. They do work a lot. And that's another reason why I started
Okay.
my own business, because that's not a world that I want to be a part of. Coming back to that, it's the joie de vivre. And
They probably have a better balance, work life balance. They probably have a better system with like, vacation days, holiday time, stuff like that, paid maternity leave, just sick days. It's a better deal in France. I guarantee you that. Guarantee it. Hard workers or not, it don't matter.
good food, long lunch breaks, cooking for yourself, cooking for your family,
I love to cook.
having an open air market 3 times a week, you know, and it's not one that you have to commute to necessarily. There's one in every neighborhood.
That'd be nice, yeah.
The freshness of the food. So for me, it was really not having to load my cart at the grocery store and going grocery shopping maybe once a week. If that, honestly, as an American, you can go grocery shopping like once every 2 weeks, which is, now that I think about it, that's kind of very unpleasant to think about.
It's just the normal thing because everything is so car dependent. You have to drive 20 minutes to get to a store. Yeah. It's not like, in Europe where you can just, everything's walkable. You can just grab some stuff on the way home or while you're out. It's not like that. Everything is you have to go out of your way to go to the store.
And France is becoming a bit more Americanized over the years.
Uh-oh.
And
Don't
I
do
am
that.
seeing that
Don't do it.
change as far as maybe a little less joie de vivre, working more,
Joie de
being
vivre.
more stressed. But I do have faith that as far as the quality and the beauty of everyday life here, that's something that will hold true.
Oh, it
Would you
always
say
be better than
Americans are
America.
more
Yeah.
punctual or French?
Ooh, no, Americans definitely punctual, more punctual. I don't know if we're punctual, but we're definitely more punctual. No, if you're hosting, they're not going to be on time. It's a debate whether it's 20 minutes or an hour, but it's going to be in between that. And they're, yeah.
Okay, a lot of my family are like that. They're late. Yeah. I like to be on time. I really do. Sometimes I run late, but I really like to be on time. And that's another thing about the Dutch that I just keep referencing the Dutch because that's just another country I know quite a bit about just from my other channel, doing a lot of reactions and stuff. And they're very punctual. If Americans are more punctual than the French, then the Dutch are more punctual than Americans. I know that. So the French probably think the Dutch people are like super strict on time. Interesting. I'd like to see how the French and the Dutch interact. Well, I guess the middle of Belgium sort of is like that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, they're not going to be early. No.
Thank you for
Okay, that's
watching until the
that.
end.
Yeah, good deal, guys. Good video. What are your thoughts on that? What are your opinions? What are your comments, right? So, thanks for watching with me. Please do me a favor and hit like and subscribe and have a super fun, awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.